playoffs of Nigeria Info's I Beg to Differ debate competition are gradually winding down. On Wednesday, Akunna Divine Chidinma faces Adikbetu Adenike at 4 o'clock to debate the topic. Tertiary institutions should be responsible for entrance examinations, not JAMB. At 5 o'clock, Jeremiah Amarachi Joy faces Babalola Deborah Toluwalope on the topic. Politicians are responsible for the high level of corruption in the country, not the people. I am Yvonne Okhaifo. Join Femi, Obong-Daniels and me 4 p.m. on Wednesday to catch the action. I Beg to Differ Season 7. 32 debaters, 1 winner, 1 million naira. Supported by Obiwizi and Just Food. For sponsorship, send an email to info@nigeriainfo.fm. I Beg to Differ, a tournament of champions.
The money that's spent on advocating increase in tax, like putting up banners, ads, and billboards, the money can be used to improve services that would prove to us that it is justified for them to increase the tax.
Government increases tax of high income earners. It's said to be key funds in investments because these people earn more, yet they pay less, which shouldn't be. In conclusion, I still stand by my stance that government should increase taxation in order to provide better services. Like they say in street slang, better soup, na money maker.
Eniola, your 3 minutes start now.
It ravages and go into power through false pretenses, and they wake up, they find out a desert they call peace. Democracy is popular sovereignty. In Abraham Lincoln's word, government of the people, for the people, and by the people. Now, our 38 Pew Research survey says that 38 countries who were polled find out that democracy is not the best system of government. This is why. The tyranny of the masses is an inherent weakness to majority, in which majority will pursue exclusively its own objectives at the expense of the minority factions. This arises when the dominance of a group impedes the benefits of the minority wants, or a situation where there is no choice between the majority's ability to dominate the minority. Tyranny has infiltrated democracy, through which the majority withholds power without restraint, threatening the very essence of freedom and equality you tell me democracy tends to bring.
Let me remind you something, that the majority in a democracy is not fixed. The majority changes to answer the different questions that the government needs it to answer.
In addition, democracy causes slow decision making. So decision making is actually slow in a more democratic system compared to more autocratic systems. In a democratic system, decisions are made through the consensus of the majority. This means that all relevant parties must be agreed on a particular decision before it is made. And this can be a lengthy and cumbersome process because even before the decision is made, it has to go through a lengthy deliberation and rigorous debate process before it can be implemented. And this can actually cause a long delay, especially in conflicting opinions.
You mentioned slow decision making. Let me tell you, slow decision making is not inherent in democracy. That is not an inherent feature of democracy. You can therefore not discredit it on that pretext. You've actually defined democracy as the opposite of tyranny, but that is not what democracy is. Democracy prevents the overarching of authority. Yes, we do that. When you go to countries, they are not tyrannies, but then it is also an overarching of authority. And that's what we stand there to do. With our values, with our principles, not democratic states, they look up to us to say, how do we become legitimate? How do we draw our citizens' votes? And that is what democracy stands for. Today, now, and in the future, democracy stands as the inherent system that works to any system. Countries like Nigeria are still learning how to practice democracy. And it is when they are able to effectively practice democracy, then they'll be able to benefit from it, which is why we have things like social democracy and liquid democracy. Liquid democracy is a blend of technology showing that democracy advances. Social democracy looks at the economic realities of the society and helps the society to advance economically. Democracy takes different shapes to address the different needs of the people. If Nigeria has failed to take into consideration the different forms of democracy, then there is no one to blame but Nigeria itself.
I Beg to Differ Students Debate Competition Season 7. We are deliberately biding time because one of our next contestants is still some small way to get here. And we've been tracking the effort. Normally, it will be a walkover, but we are tracking the effort they are putting and they are very close to us.
That's right.
So we'll give it some time, and we do hope that poor youngster will have enough time to catch their breath and deliver on the big stage, but we'll give it a few more minutes.
That's right. In the meantime, we'll take some of your reactions. You can call 0700 993 993 993. You will react strictly to the debate that has just ended, the one you just saw and heard, okay? 0700 993 993 993. You can also call on 0201 465 7190. Or keep your messages coming in on WhatsApp 080 959 75805. This one says, oh, Doyen, it's all right. Don't be disappointed. We'll miss you if you go, but if you still choose to, well, it's your loss at the end of the day. Let's see if we can take a few calls now. Hello?
Hello.
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening to you.
Yeah, Yvonne and Femi, you guys are doing a wonderful job.
Thank you.
And congratulations to Adenike. Please, there is something that I observed, and I don't know. During the closing round, Adenike was rebutting instead of closing, but what's her name? Akona was giving more point and explaining. So I don't know how the judges failed to, to award mark the way it ought to be.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, but I do not agree that that's what Adenike did.
Yeah.
She did rebut some of Divine's points, but went on to close her arguments, okay? Now, we are not the judges. We're just the hosts, moderators, and observers as well. But what I saw in the studio was that Nike did rebut some of Divine's points in her closing, but still went on to add points of her own in her attempt to close.
There was something else I also noticed. In fact, two things. One of the judges, I'm sure, agrees with you, and which was why there was such a wide disparity by 14 to 4. However, I paid particular attention. Adenike's problem was not necessarily the fact that she was actually rebutting her opponent. It was because she, in her announcement, it sounded like she was going to rebut her opponent. Because I waited for it. Because I was waiting. Oh, you want to start by rebutting? But she wasn't really rebutting. She was
using that to add new points.
She was adding new points. So it was language. What she was trying to say, going by what she did, was that, I'm going to hammer this person. I'm going to she didn't use the word rebut, but she made it sound like she wanted to rebut, and she really was not rebutting. And so, quite all right. If I was the judge, there's a possibility that I would be like, okay, so you say you want to rebut, let's rebut. But also remember, what is good enough for the geese is good enough for the gander, like they say. Even in the rebuttals, we allow you to bring new points home.
That's right.
And so it would be unfair if the points that you make, that you agree to make, are potentially a rebuttal to something your opponent has said, and we don't record it for you. Do you understand?
Right. Let's also.
All right. Thank you.
As long as it is not, it is unique.
Thank you.
It is unique and original.
That's
it's
right.
not a repetition of earlier made points. I could also argue, you may not have noticed that when Akuna came in the end and reeled out her point,
I was about to say the same thing.
She essentially was repeating
the same thing she had
said. She was
said
reeling out the same point she reeled out at the start. And then she went into it and she was making points that I'd had her make in the presentation. It is possible that some judges would have caught some, maybe not all. It depends, because you literally have to write point 1, point 2, point 3 down to be able to see that. Do you understand?
That's right.
So it goes both ways. It was a tough debate. That debate could have gone either way.
The margin was close.
Yes, it was really close. And it was, it's one of the days when I know that the judges have a hard time, because deciding, putting everything together, it always came close. And if you notice too, It was a split decision down the middle.
That's right.
And it went by slight margin. I think the judges were fair in their interpretation of everything.
I agree.
It could have gone either way.
That's right. This message says, good evening, Yvonne and Oga Femi. Today's debate was really wonderful and both contestants successfully justified their sides. But to me, Nika sounded more confident with her points, and I felt like there were a lot of things untouched by her opponent. Divine should come better next time.
I think for style, I think Adenike got it on 3 of the cards.
Right.
Let me just double 2 or 3. Certainly more. On the first judge's scorecard, Adenike got it. On the second judge's scorecard, Akuna got style. On the third judge's scorecard, it was a tie. And on the fourth judge's scorecard, Adenike got it. So it's 2-1 in terms of style and a stalemate. And so, I mean, go by all the indices. It was a very close call.
It was close indeed. Oga Femi, Divine's problem of rebutting opponents' points still persists.
From season 6,
From season 6. She should work on it, and the teachers should take notes. That's from Prof.
Yes.
Dominion from Opik Estate says, good evening, my ever sagacious moderators and impartial IRF judges. In palpitation, I've been compelled today to throw encomium to all these bright minds. The debates and debaters taking the lead so far are indeed unarguably well deserving, as the young stars honestly are. Boom and I trust our humanly fair judges. Just as Mrs. Oboli will say, may the best lady or gentleman win, irrespective of their brilliance. Please, Yvonne, I no longer hear you on the Sunday show.
What happened? What happened on the Sunday show?
Oh, Femi, you've joined the audience to ask me the same question. I mean, I will answer the way I'll answer the way Sheriff answered the last time. The Sunday show will come back when the Sunday show will come back. Okay.
Yeah, before people begin to ask me about certain shows, I'm not.
Okay.
Let me just keep quiet.
We're still tracking the candidates. The candidate for the 5 o'clock hour. We're here. They're very close. Hopefully in a few minutes, they'll be here in the studio. And then the 5 o'clock debates can kick off. Hello? Oh, dear. Sorry about that. 0700 993 993 993. You can also call on 01465 0201 rather 465 7190. Hello? Are you there?
Hello.
Hi.
Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome.
My opinion on the debate, I want to say well done to Adenike and Ibubi. And I'm really surprised that Ibubi, like an high school student, because senior high school could contest or compete in this competition. Like, it really wows me because I'm a graduate of that school. That's 3 years ago. So I'm surprised that my school can actually push students to come to a debate live on air. There's a reason why I'm saying it. I'm not a spoiler of my school, but I'm actually wowed. And the confidence was not really there for Ibubi. I don't know, maybe she was working more on the supporter side than her other side. Because it's like it shows in her points that she was working more. I don't maybe understand. She was working more on the supporter side than the other side. So, and Adenike tried harder in her points and confidence, and she was giving facts. And what I noticed in Ibubi, they keep repeating facts over and over again. And she keeps repeating points over and over again. So I want to say well done to both of them. They really tried. Ibubi too, well done. And shout out to my school, Ikodu Senior High School.
Okay.
I'm really proud of her.
All
Thank
right.
you very much.
Okay, you're very welcome. Yvonne and Femi, good evening to you. I enjoyed the debate. I've learned new things, especially from your English language class. Thumbs up to you both. John in Ikota Villa Estate, Lekki, thank you for sharing that message with us. Hello? I do not know what's going
Lovely
on
music.
there.
Thank you.
But thank you so much for sharing that. 0700 993 993 993. You can also call 0201 465 7190. We are expecting the candidates to join us in the studio soon enough. We'll see how that goes in a few minutes. Keep your messages coming in on WhatsApp 080-959-75805. Remember, we are streaming live on Facebook. We're streaming live on YouTube as well. Just go to YouTube or go to Facebook and type Nigeria Info. I beg to differ will pop up, okay? Hello?
Hello?
Turn down the volume of your radio set, please. Turn down the volume of your radio set. Okay. We'll take a very short break, and when we come back, we'll see if our candidate is here. The playoffs of Nigeria Info's I Beg to Differ debate competition are gradually winding down. On Wednesday, Akunna Divine Chidinma faces Adikpetu Adenike at 4 o'clock to debate the topic. Tertiary institutions should be responsible for entrance examinations, not JAMB. At 5 o'clock, Jeremiah Amarachi Joy faces Babalola Deborah Toluwalope on the topic. Politicians are responsible for the high level of corruption in the country, not the people. I am Yvonne Okhaifo. Join Femi, Obong-Daniels and me 4 p.m. on Wednesday to catch the action. I Beg to Differ Season 7. 32 debaters, 1 winner, 1 million naira. Supported by Obiwizi and Just Food. For sponsorship, send an email to info@nigeriainfo.fm. I Beg to Differ, a tournament of champions.
Back at you with some news that you can use. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you are out there and you are a fan of the sweet things, I'm talking ice cream, but you know that you are lactose intolerant. Indeed, more than 70% of, people who are black have been said to be lactose intolerant. So I am likely talking to somebody who needs the information that I'm dropping on them. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Just the Light non-dairy ice cream. This is Nigeria's first plant-based ice cream suitable for individuals who are lactose intolerant and those who just want to indulge. Yes, this is for you. It is conveniently available at all major supermarkets and stores nationwide. Manufactured and distributed by Just Food Limited, Just the Light non-dairy ice cream can be purchased online at www.justfood.ng. So, ladies and gentlemen, what are you waiting for? Go out there, get yourself a piece of this sweetness, and welcome to the lactose intolerant side of life.
The playoffs of Nigeria Info's I Beg to Differ debate competition are gradually winding down. On Wednesday, Akunna Divine Chidinma faces Adikpetu Adenike at 4 o'clock to debate the topic. Tertiary institutions should be responsible for entrance examinations, not JAMB. At 5 o'clock, Jeremiah Amarachi Joy faces Babalola Deborah Toluwalope on the topic. Politicians are responsible for the high level of corruption in the country, not the people. I am Yvonne Okhaifo. Join Femi, Obong-Daniels and me 4 p.m. on Wednesday to catch the action. I Beg to Differ Season 7. 32 debaters, 1 winner, 1 million naira. Supported by Obiwizi and Just Food. For sponsorship, send an email to info@nigeriainfo.fm. I Beg to Differ, a tournament of champions.
Lagos. If you've been thinking about getting a gadget upgrade, then you'll be interested in the info I'm about to give you, especially if you're trying not to break the bank in getting a brand new one. And the part that gets me is that their gadgets come with a warranty. Yes, I'm not joking, Lagos. Pre-owned gadgets with a warranty. Let me introduce you to Obiwizi, Nigeria's pioneer e-commerce platform for pre-owned gadgets with a warranty. Yes, here you can purchase all your favorite gadgets and quality accessories, both brand new and pre-owned. You can also trade in your older devices to get a newer model in a simple and convenient way. To crown it all, when you decide to sell off your device to meet that important cash obligation, OBWeezy is your guy. They've got you any day, anytime. So what are you waiting for? You can call 0813-943-5241. 0813-943-5241. For more updates, you can also follow their social media platforms on Instagram at OBWeezyCare. That is in small letters OBIWEZYCARE, or on X at OBWeezy. That is in small letters OBIWEZY. And they will definitely respond to your emails if you send them a message at info@obweezy.com. That is info@obweezy.com. With convenient offline and pickup stores in Ikeja, Lekki, Abuja, and Bini, OBWeezy delivers nationwide. Visit www.obweezy.com today. That is www.obweezy.com today, and upgrade your gadgets the easy way.
The money that is spent on advocating increase in tax, like putting up banners, ads, and billboards, the money can be used to improve services that would prove to us that it is justified for them to increase the tax.
Government increases tax of high-income earners. I said to be key funds in investments because these people earn more, yet they pay less, which shouldn't be. In conclusion, I still stand by my stance that government should increase taxation in order to provide better services. Like they say in street slang, better soup, na money maker.
At long last, it is time for us to proceed. We've lost close to half an hour. And so we will pack this as quickly as possible. The second debate for the second hour of the seventh day of debates will pitch two young contestants. Yvonne, let's meet them.
That's right. Jeremiah Amarachi Joy is 14 years old, a student of Eva Adelaja Girls Senior Secondary School. She is in SS3. Her opponent, Babalola Deborah Toluwalope, is 13 years old, a student of Heritage Group of Schools. She is in SS1.
We will now go through the ritual of both of them, deciding where they will debate for or against. First, how about the debate topic?
The topic is that politicians are responsible for corruption in the country, not the people. Politicians are responsible for the corruption in the country, not the people. We will now find out how each of these young ladies will argue this evening.
Remember, both of you, Joy and Deborah, that you will be awarded points based on the number, the quality, and originality of every unique point you make in this debate. The judges will also judge your style based on the clarity of thought and eloquence of presentation. Originality, uniqueness, basic ingredients the judges are looking out for. You could tie after this debate. If you do tie after the presentation, rebuttal, and closing rounds, you will go into a tie-breaker round. For that round, you will switch sides. You will have 5 minutes to argue the position previously argued by your opponent. And after that, the decision will be made. It will be final. It will be binding. At this point, we would like to know how both of you have decided. Pardon my manners, though. Perhaps I should say welcome to both of you. Joy.
Yeah,
Hello, Joy. How are you today?
I'm good.
Good. And how are you doing?
Deborah.
Deborah?
I'm fine, thanks.
Is that what your friends call you at school? Is that what you're known by? I want to use the name you are known by most.
Deborah.
They call you Deborah in school. Okay. All right. So it's Deborah, Toluwalope, Babalola, and Amarachi, Joy, Jeremiah. Is it Joy they call you in school or Amarachi?
Amarachi.
They call you Amarachi.
Yeah.
So it's Amarachi for me.
How did you both pick? I'll start with Amarachi.
Oppose.
You are opposing the motion that politicians are responsible for corruption in Nigeria, not the people. That leaves Deborah with the supporting side. You are saying that politicians are indeed responsible for the corruption in the country, not the people. Fantastic.
It is time now for us to debate.
Indeed.
Are you ready to go? Is the supporter of the motion ready? Or do you want us to give you like a minute?
Yes, thank
You want a minute?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll give you a minute. We'll be right back after this.
The playoffs of Nigeria Info's I Beg to Differ debate competition are gradually winding down. On Wednesday, Akunna Divine Chidinma faces Adikpetu Adenike at 4 o'clock to debate the topic. Tertiary institutions should be responsible for entrance examinations, not JAM. At 5 o'clock, Jeremiah Amarachi Joy faces Babalola Deborah Toluwalope on the topic. Politicians are responsible for the high level of corruption in the country, not the people. I am Yvonne Okhaifo. Join Femi Obong-Daniels and me 4 p.m. on Wednesday to catch the action. I Beg to Differ Season 7. 32 debaters, 1 winner, 1 million naira. Supported by Obi-Weezy and Just Food. For sponsorship, send an email to info@nigeriainfo.fm. I Beg to Differ, a tournament of champions.
Welcome back. As we prepare, as we manage to spare a couple more seconds for these two contestants, we'd like to say thank you to our partners for this edition of I Beg to Differ. That's Obi-Weezy and Just Food. Thank you very much for everything you do. And a quick reminder with regards to what's at stake: 1 million naira, a GL G10 Pro tablet, a Green Lion folding laptop stand, a Green Lion 3-in-1 combo, a GP Pro gaming console, and a GL Pocket Power Bank for the first prize. Second prize, 500,000 naira, a GL G10 Pro tablet, a Green Lion 3-in-1 combo, a GL Champion mini speaker, and a mini handheld fan. Third prize, 250,000 naira, Green Lion Earbuds Pro, a Green Lion Smartwatch Ultra SE, a GL Champion mini speaker, and a mini handheld fan. All gadgets courtesy of Obi-Weezy. We're looking ahead for your partnership in the vital second round, which commences next week, where the boys and girls are separated from the men and women.
Indeed. Remember, we are streaming live on Facebook. We're streaming live on YouTube as well. Just type Nigeria Info. I Beg to Differ will pop up. It is time to debate. We will start with the motion supporter, 13-year-old Babalola Deborah Toluwalope, a student of Heritage Group of Schools, Lagos. She is in SS1.
Before you go, just a quick reminder as with regards to the rebuttal rounds. when your opponent is going through their presentation rounds, listen attentively, make notes, because we expect you to rebut their points. When it's time for you to rebut, if you have time and you are done with your rebuttals, you can spend the rest of your time making additional points. Those points will also count in your favor. Is that clear?
Fantastic. Now that you know the rules, now that it's all clear, Deborah, you have 3 minutes, and those 3 minutes start now.
The endemic corruption in Nigeria cannot divorce from the actions of politicians who exploit an opportunity in for personal gain. Similarly, politicians serve as a role model whose actions shape societal norms and values when they engage in corrupt with impunity. This leaves one a lot to wonder. Moderator, pilot by the five judges, my thank you for what your opponents and my advertising bodies. Good day. I am Babalola, Deborah, one. I'm a president of Rated Group of Schools, and I'm here to support the topic which says the politicians are responsible for the high level of corruption in the country and not the people. Please align with me as I must my point. To begin with, controversial budgetary allocation. The politicians in Nigeria are in control of the budgetary allocation, thereby enabling themselves for personal gain. For instance, in 2019, the Nigerian Senate was accused of planning national budget for lost projects to embezzle funds, bribery and kickbacks. Many politicians engage in bribery and kickback schemes, instead forwarding contracts or securing government positions. The Alberton scandal is a notable example, where the Nigerian politicians allegedly received from international companies during the contracts awarded for the construction of liquefied natural gas facilities. Furthermore, political patronage. Politicians often apologize key positions regardless of qualification and merit. They were linked to inefficiency and corruption. Former President Goodluck Jonathan administration was criticized for rampant nepotism and cronyism, contributing to widespread in corruption. Weak regulatory oversight. The president of the weak regulatory bodies to avoid scrutiny and accountability. The decision of the EFCC board by the Nigerian Senate in 2020 raised concerns about political interference in anti-corruption efforts. Influence peddling. Politicians leverage their positions to influence business on the decisions and regulatory processes. The four subsidies can reviewed how Nigerian politicians allegedly colluded with all marketers to defraud the government of billions of dollars under disguise of false subsidy payments. Electoral fraud. The president often engaged in electoral fraud through vote buying, intimidation, or rigging to attain or retain power. The 2019 general election in Nigeria were marred by allegation of widespread corruption, not the least of 2023 election in Nigeria, undermining democracy policies and allowing corrupt individuals to attain or retain power. The diversion of public funds. President often allowed public funds meant for services as healthcare and education into private accounts. The deployment of the UBEF illustrates how Nigerian politicians allegedly colluded, how Nigerian politicians prioritized personal enrichment over the public welfare. Conflict of interest. The politicians often adopt personal business interests, thereby leading to conflict of interest. The case of Nigerian lawmakers owning businesses that benefit from government contracts exemplifies this issue. Opaque financial transactions. Persons often consider their wealth through complex financial transactions and offshore assets, thereby leading to more corrupt practices in society. Erosion of public trust. Politicians' involvement in corruption erodes public trust and confidence. The Panama Papers exposed how Nigerians perceive the political leaders as the most corrupt individuals in society. Lack of political will. Politicians fail to enact and enforce robust anti-corruption measures to curb corruption. Despite international prayer, the National Assembly has failed to pass key anti-corruption bills as the process of crime bill to strengthen the legal framework. In conclusion, resource mismanagement. Politicians often mismanage the country's natural resources, such as industries where oil is generated, thereby leading to more corrupt practices. The lack of accountability in the NNPC sector has been cited as a major factor contributing to corruption. Thank you.
All right. That's Babalola, Deborah Toluwalope for her presentation round. We will now switch over to her opponent, Amarachi Joy Jeremiah.
Amarachi Joy Jeremiah, you have 3 minutes to oppose the topic that politicians are responsible for corruption in the country, not the people. And those 3 minutes start now.
The phenomenon of corruption in Nigeria has become one of the most critical governance challenges bedeviling Nigeria. There is actually no development problem that is problematic and as recurrent as corruption. Corruption predates Nigeria. Its perversiveness and intractability, as well as the dangers it poses on the development of the nation, makes corruption continue to be a topic that will always attract policy attention, debate, and public attention. But the million-dollar question will be, who is actually to blame for the high level of corruption in the country? I'll make it bold to say that the citizens and not the politicians are responsible for the high level of corruption in the country. Before I proceed, permit me to give honor to Mrs. Yu by
by saying, good day, the moderator, impartial panel of adjudicators, my accurate timekeeper, honorable contender, and everyone listening. My name is Deborah, Amarachi, a student of Babalola Senior Girls Secondary School, here to oppose the motion which states, and I quote, politicians are responsible for the high level of corruption in the country, not the people. According to the 2023 Perception Index reported by the Transparency International, Nigeria ranked an alarming 145th position out of 180 countries on the scale of corruption. It is quite disheartening to know that corruption has become the order of the day in our dear beloved country. In a typical Nigerian in the outside world is seen as a corrupt individuals, and even foreigners tend to be very careful when dealing with Nigerians in the aspect of business. When the issue of corruption is raised in any gathering, what the mind of people go to as the cause of corruption is the politicians. We concentrate on political corruption, which is just one of the many forms of corruption which has crippled our nation. We tend to forget that corruption has a scale. Corruption exists on a scale which ranges from petty corruption to grand corruption and systemic corruption. Firstly, the people helping immortalizing these politicians. This is a rampant attitude of the people. When politicians misappropriate public funds, instead of finding a way to bring them to book, these same people eulogize them. These people make these looters feel respected and honored, like there's nothing wrong with their looting. These same people cover these looters under the umbrella of our own, even when the hostility of justice tends to bring them rain. Instead of making them feel remorseful about their ungodly acts, these same people give them meritorious awards, and some royal families even endow these certified armed robbers, chieftaincy titles for unquestionable misuse of public funds because of their benefits. Neither do we shun them, nor do we make it clear to them that it is our collective worth and not their family's will. This has led to young, innocent leaders and promising future leaders treading down the path of wealth accumulation via corruption means. Secondly, how can we blame the politicians for corruption that is already in the education sector? How can we blame politicians for the corruption that is already in the education sector? Secondly, how can we blame politicians for the corruption that the students take when they pay money to get live answers to examination questions? The people are the one who established this examination miracle centers where treacherous and indolent students can sit idly in the exam hall or at the comfort of their home and watch a sloping through their O-level results. This we saw in the case of 19-year-old Miss Ejikeme Mesoma, who manipulated her UTME results from 249 to a whooping 362. Is it a quality?
Don't worry, you'll have 6 more minutes in the rebuttal and closing round to add more points if you so wish. But for now, we will take a very short break, and when we come back, we will hear the rebuttal rounds. Lagos, stay here. The playoffs of Nigeria Info's I Beg to Differ debate competition are gradually winding down. On Wednesday, Akunna Divine Chidinma faces Adikpetu Adenike at 4 o'clock to debate the topic. Tertiary institutions should be responsible for entrance examinations, not JAM. At 5 o'clock, Jeremiah Amarachi Joy faces Babalola Deborah Toluwalope on the topic. Politicians are responsible for the high level of corruption in the country, not the people. I am Yvonne Okhaifo. Join Femi, Obong-Daniels and me 4 p.m. on Wednesday to catch the action. I Beg to Differ Season 7. 32 debaters, 1 winner, 1 million naira. Supported by Obiwizi and Just Food. For sponsorship, send an email to info@nigeriainfo.fm. I Beg to Differ, a tournament of champions.
Welcome back. You had the presentation rounds, and into the rebuttal rounds we now go.
And we will start with the motion opposer for the rebuttal round. The motion opposer is 14-year-old Jeremiah Amarachi Joy. You are opposing the motion and now rebutting the points made by your opponent, Deborah. Your 3 minutes start now.
Standing on existing protocol, I still remain Jeremiah Amarachi, here to rebut some of the points that my opponent made. My opponent said bribery. So do you tell me that bribery did not start from the citizens? Of course, these politicians were once citizens. Their urge for corruption did not just start the day one that they got into the political sector. This has been a motion that they have nursed right from the cradle. When you say embezzlement, do you say that citizens do not also embezzle one another? Do we say that they do not embezzle in the private sectors? You say nepotism. Yes, we understand that. Yes, you want to favor your own. But even the citizens do this as well. Yes, you say personal gains. Have you ever considered that even the market women tend to use these personal gains as they cheat their customers, as they devise means to inaccurately measure their goods to accrue much profit?
Secondly, how do we blame the politicians for the corruption that is already in the education sector? How do we blame politicians when the students get out to get live answers to examination questions? This corruption cannot even be left out of our higher institutions of learning. A situation whereby a lecturer forces the students to buy his textbook at exorbitant prices, and the worst case is that these textbooks do not even correlate with what the students are being taught in school. Even corruption cannot even be left out out of we mobile technology users, as we devise ways of browsing the internet without paying a dime. These are practices that we masses do not see as corruption, but yet they are corrupt practices, because corruption is anything you do for your own selfish purpose. Thank you.
Okay. A round of applause to Deborah. Oh, to Amarachi. Oh, good gracious. Thank you very much. Rebuttal round over with for Amarachi.
That's right, and we will go straight to the motion. Supporter, 13-year-old Babalola, Deborah Toluwalope. Your 3 minutes start now.
I'm here to buttress my point on the topic which says the politicians are responsible for the level of corruption in the country and not the people. To start with, my opponent said that the people are responsible for the corrupt, that the politicians are not to be blamed because students engage in electoral fraud. But to make it clear to you, my opponent, the people also engage in certificate forgery. The news exposed how some politicians allegedly for the certificate to attain power. My opponent also said that the people also engage in bribery and embezzlement. But to shock you, my opponents, the politicians are also responsible for corruption because they fail to enact and enforce robust anti-corruption measures. Also, do you know that the public also pays public funds? But look at the roads nowadays. Are we not paying? Of course we are paying. But the politicians want to feed themselves. They want to feed their belly. And they also engage in selfish purposes. I'll let press my point. Capture of state institutions. Some politicians capture state institutions, including the judiciary, and law enforcement agencies, to evade themselves from prosecution. The Dasuki scandals highlighted how the Nigerian politicians allegedly compromise the judiciary to evade taxes. Crony capitalism. Some politicians also engage in crony capitalism by granting preferential treatment to close associates and family members, thereby contributing to corruption. Are we now to blame on the people for this? Of course not. The politicians are the ones supposed to enact strong anti-corruption initiatives. Despite the existence of anti-corruption initiatives, politicians have shown a lack of genuine commitment towards curbing corruption. Collapses. Politicians engage in ethical lapses such as plagiarism and academic scandals, thereby leading to more corruption in society. Lack of political will. Politicians fail to enact and enforce robust anti-corruption measures to curb corruption. Failure to implement meaningful reforms. Politicians fail to implement meaningful reforms to curb corruption, thereby allowing it to flourish unbated. I hope with this point of mind, I'm able to convince you that the politicians are responsible for the level of corruption in the country and not the people. Thank you.
Well, we will go straight into the closing rounds because we are racing against time, and we will start with the motion supporter for the closing round. You have 3 minutes now to close your arguments. Deborah, Babalola, Toluwalope. Those 3 minutes start now.
Our protocols duly observed. I should be Deborah, and I'm here to protest my point on the topic which states the politicians are responsible for the high level of corruption in the country and not the people. To start with, abuse of powers. Politicians often abuse powers for their selfish gains, thereby exacerbating poverty and inequalities among society. Also, disregard for rule of law. The politicians flout the rule of law for their selfish interests, and they also manipulate the legal processes. The unlawful detention of activists and journalists is a clear example. The politicians also promised to build bridges where there are no rivers. Of course, the politicians are responsible for the level of corruption in our society nowadays. And the people are suffering. Why? Of course, we're actually paying taxes. Why are we suffering? Look at the bad roads. Look at corruption. Politicians fail to enact strong measures to curb this corruption in society, thereby allowing it to flourish. I hope with this point of mind, I'm able to convince you that politicians are responsible for the high level of corruption in the country and not the people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deborah. We will go straight to your opponent's closing arguments now. Joy, it is time to close your arguments, and your 3 minutes start now.
Leaving the education sector, what about the masses who evade tax? Or do you want to tell me that the evasion of tax is not also a form of corruption? Of course, yet it is a form of corruption. These masses who evade tax are still the same masses who complain about the government poor performance in the building of basic amenities and social infrastructures for citizens. But yet, these are the same citizens who do not want to contribute their quota to the development of the nation. Mr. Chairman, people's involvement in the corruption can be traced to the evasion and avoidance of individual responsibilities. John F. Kennedy once said, and I quote, "My fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." Who says that the Nigerian politicians are not corrupt? Who says that Nigerian politicians are saints? Nigerians keep on clamoring and complaining. Our roads are bad, our politicians are not good, our health centers are dead centers, and on like that. But in the real world, are these all incompetence of leadership? Of course not. The European Board of Journal and Business Social Science reports that the participation of both men and women is a key cornerstone of good governance. Why do Nigerians keep on complaining about the change? They do not want to be an instrumental to its realization. Nigerians forget to remember their deficiencies. Nigerians think that their contribution will make no difference, yet they only blame the politicians. Even if the lining worn by our politicians are thick with the grim of corruption, can't we take this lining to the laundry of justice? The laundry of justice, where any act of injustice will be brought under the meticulous microscope of the law. Corruption finds its way into the corridor of powers because corruption finds its way into the corridor of powers because it has not been nipped in the bud. Nipping it in the bud starts with the fight against examination malpractice, which is an abuse of a student's integrity and his intelligence. Students have to be shown that there is only one way to academic success, which is hard work and not otherwise. We as a nation have blamed corruption for ourselves because at the end of the day, these students with questionable integrity become our leaders and escalate corruption. And when they finally become our leaders, we are the same people who will complain, forgetting that they are a product of our examination immoralities. In conclusion, I strongly believe that if we are interested in a Nigeria that is free of corruption, we should be ready to wage war against it. The crusade for a corrupt-free Nigeria starts with a bottom-to-top approach. The bottom-to-top approach, which starts with you and I. Nigeria will never be free from corruption, and I repeat, never be free from corruption until the people stand up in their different localities for what is right and say an emphatic no to corruption. If we want to stop corruption, then we have to be. If we want to stop corruption, then we have to change ourselves first, because a better Nigeria begins with a change with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And so both debaters rest their arguments on the topic. Politicians are responsible for corruption in the country, not the people. It is up to the judges now.
Yes, it is indeed. And I am curious as to how the judges will decide.
That's right.
There is a lot to say, but, I hesitate to say some of the things that I probably need to say. First, we are pressed for time. Two, even though the judges would have made up their mind, sometimes some of our listeners wonder whether the comments, when said a little early, might influence the judges. No, our comments do not influence the judges. We're able to track real time what the judges are doing. Don't forget, the judges are doing their score sheet as we go, and they would have decided in their mind on certain aspects like style already, and they have 3 rounds to do that. But there's a lot that these two that can help these two.
A whole lot. And while we wait for the judges, I'd like to start with Deborah. I understand that it took a while to get here, and I understand the immense pressure that you came under. I sort of thought that you probably, struggle with some speech impediment. Do you stutter when you speak? Oh, you stutter when you speak.
Yes.
But it's interesting how you've carried yourself in the debate today, and we are proud of that. We are proud that despite the traffic pressures that you had to endure to get here today, you were still able to marshal out your points. But one thing that will help you going forward is to breathe. Okay? Just breathe, then pick yourself up again. Do you understand? Breathe, pick yourself up, pace yourself. When you speak, when you try to get everything out at once, your words become mumbled up, and then everyone struggles to hear you. Okay? But well done, and thank you for coming here. It couldn't have been easy on you. And to you, Joy, you spent a lot of time in the presentation rounds explaining one or 2 points. You're a brilliant, you're a confident speaker, okay? However, there is more to debating than just confidence. Remember, you're speaking, you're racing against time. So you have to ensure that you get in as many points as possible while still being audible. Do you understand? And now I'd like to point out 2 things that I heard you say, Deborah, that you might want to correct going forward. It is a pressure, not prayer, okay? It is pressure. Say pressure. Pressure. Fantastic. And it is measure, not mayor. Say measure. Again. Fantastic. So it is pressure and it is measure, not prayer, not mayor, right? Thank you very much. And Femi, we don't have much time, but it is infrastructure, Joy, not infrastructures. Okay? Infrastructure refers to, utilities, basically. So infrastructure is the term that you used to refer to utilities, housing, water, electricity. Do you understand? So in itself, it's already plural per se. You don't need to add an S to it. It is infrastructure. Infrastructure is infrastructure. If you want to make it plural, you can say pieces of infrastructure, utilities, but you cannot say infrastructures. Okay?
All right, just to add, Yvonne did say you spent a lot of time, too much time, explaining in your opening comments, but I thought you did that throughout. So if you do progress, pay attention. While the explanation, maybe it was the topic and what you were defending that elicited all of that explanation. But remember, the judges are looking for points. You did make points, but you could have spent time making even more points. Besides, there was one of those rounds where you left time to spare. So I was wondering where all the points went. And just pay attention. I'm talking to you, Amarachi. I will make it bold to say. You don't make it bold to say. You make bold to say something. I make bold to say. I will make bold to say. Don't add it to it. Okay? And words like, nepotism.
Right.
Nepotism, not nepotism or something like that.
It's also plagiarism, not plagiar. Okay? Yes. Plagiarism, not plagiarism.
Yeah, no, plagiarism was even from her.
I had plagiarism. I know I had plagiarism somewhere, but it's plagiarism. Okay?
She mentioned plagiarism. That's
Deborah.
Deborah. It's okay. I like to say Deborah, but I don't mind saying Deborah. Okay. And there was something you were talking about, taking something to the laundry. What did you, Amarachi, take this? What were you saying? You said your lining.
The lining which are corrupt.
What is lining? What do you mean? What were it spell?
Like cloth, like L-I-N-E.
Linen.
Okay, linen.
Linen. Okay. I was wondering, what lining are you talking about? Okay. It's that fabric. It's linen. L-I-N-E-N. Okay.
And then you exemplify, not exemplify.
Yes.
Exemplify.
I also noted that.
You exemplify, not exemplify.
You exemplify. Let me cross that out. Cross out plagiarism. And that's for Deborah. Okay.
That's right.
All right. Also words like cronyism. You said chronism. It's cronyism. Cronies. Okay. And words like genuine. Not genuine.
Unabated, not unbaited, okay?
Yes,
unabated.
Yes,
unabated. Unabated. Fantastic.
And you also use the word exacerbating. It has 2 stresses, a secondary and a primary. It sounded more like exacerbating. Do you understand? Please
and
take-
if you're taking time to speak, you would have probably pronounced the whole word.
Yeah.
But because you were rushing, which is why again I said breathe. Okay.
Yes.
You're a rapid speaker, and because you have a speech impediment, you have to pace yourself. When you pace yourself, you realize that your words are clearer. All right.
Okay.
Well done to you both.
And please pay attention. If you do progress, calm down. I struggled to make you out for long periods, and I knew you were making points, but I was struggling. So if I awarded you 1 point for the point, I may struggle to award you further points, and there's a range for how you explain the point. Do you understand? So these are things to pay attention to.
Right. Let's quickly take the scores now. The scores are in, and Femi, when we say it is by the margin,
Yikes.
this has got to be the closest we've had so far.
So different strokes. I mean, both individuals have pluses and minuses, and I hope they will work on it.
Indeed.
As a matter of fact, there was a point after first listening to Deborah and struggling at the end. I did notice you made a lot of points, and I was like, oh dear, I don't know what Amarachi will bring, but Amarachi will probably kill her. Amarachi had more in terms of clarity, but the points were, I'm not sure. So let's go. So I'm not surprised that it will be
on the margin.
by
Just
the Tigers
a
teeth.
tiny one.
So let's go into it. I wish you both the best.
And while we do, let's apologize for taking a bit of the news time.
Yes, certainly.
You will have
It's 6 o'clock.
It's 6 o'clock on the clock already. You will get an abridged version of the news today, but we just couldn't ignore the effort that Deborah made to get to the studio
We
today.
must also point out the fact that she came here breathlessly.
That's right.
Was probably
Running
also,
into the studio.
Yes, a contributory factor.
That's
to,
right.
Her delivery challenges, especially in the presentation rounds. So it is time now to go into the scorecards. I'd like to start by the Chief Judge's scorecard. In the presentation rounds, where points mattered, Deborah, 15 points. Amarachi, 7 points. In the rebuttal rounds, Deborah, 4.5 points. Amarachi, 6 points. In the closing rounds, Deborah, 3 points. Amarachi, 9.5 points. For style, Deborah, 6.5. Amarachi, 7. For a total of 29 points to Deborah, and 29.5. Half a point, the difference on the scorecard of the Chief Judge. Advantage Amarachi.
On Judge Ishioma's scorecard, she awards 16 points to Deborah for presentation and 6 points to Joy for presentation. Now for rebuttal, she awards 5 points to Deborah and 6 points to Joy Amarachi. For closing, she awards 5 points to Deborah and 9 points to Joy Amarachi. For style, she awards 4 points to Deborah and 6 points to Amarachi, with a total of 30 points to 27 in favor of Deborah.
So they're tied on both scorecards, 1-1. But now Deborah is leading by 2.5 points. 2.5 points. The lack of sufficient points proving a factor. All right, let us go to the scorecard of Judge Ama Ekove. For the presentation round, George Ama scores this way. Deborah, 15 points. Amarachi, 9 points. For the rebuttal rounds, Deborah, 7 points. Amarachi, 7.5 points. Closing rounds, Deborah, 4 points. Amarachi, 11 points. For style, even Stevens, 5 points apiece. By a point and a half, 31 points to 32.5 points, Amarachi takes this one.
And on Judge Ufoma's...
Meanwhile, what that means is that as we speak, as we go into Judge Ufoma's scorecard, Deborah is leading by 1 solitary point.
Right. Let's see what Judge Ufoma thinks. For presentation, he awards 17 points to 8 points in favor of Deborah. For rebuttals, 3 points to 7 points in favor of Amarachi. For closing, 4.5 points to 6.5 points in favor of Amarachi. For style, 4 points to Deborah and 7 points to Amarachi. And it is an absolute tie of 28.5 apiece.
And so the verdict is out. By a margin of 117.5 points to 118.5 points. That 1 solitary point. The winner and qualifier to the next round is Babalola Deborah. Toluwalope.
Oh, now I can finally breathe. That was something. Deborah, well done. You see that you have a lot of work to do. Congratulations on advancing to the round of 16. But that means there is so much work for you to do. And it starts with coming here in time. Okay? Ensure you come here in time so that much pressure won't be on you in the next round. Okay? And to you, Amarachi, what gave it to Deborah, obviously, was that you didn't give as many points as you ought to have done in your argument. You spent much time explaining, but you were a brilliant debater. You're in SS1. You're in SS2. So you're in SS3.
Oh, SS3.
Dear, I would have said you'd have enough time to come back because you're so young. You're just 14 years old. You're in SS3.
16, huh?
No, she is 14.
Oh, you are 14.
Aren't you?
I'm 15.
You are 15
now.
Okay.
When did you turn 15?
January.
Okay.
January.
Alas,
Okay.
that was before you sent in your entry.
Okay, so you were 14 before you sent your entry before your 15th birthday.
That's right. Anyway, congratulations to you for making it this far. We hope that you go hard, on whatever it is that you really want in life. Unfortunately, you may not be able to come back to Abek to Differ because you have to prepare for your final exams and all of that. But thank you so much for coming here today. To you, Deborah, here is your topic for the round of 16. As I said earlier, you've got a lot of work to do. Hopefully, you take the corrections that have been issued to you today. And well done to you both. Lagos, we absolutely have to go because the news...
Yes, my parting shot would be you were better in almost all the other metrics.
Right.
Clarity, style, your rebuttals.
Right.
Even in the closing, the landing. Beautiful. However, you failed to itemize
many points.
The only reason why you're out of this debate today is because of the lack of sufficient points.
That's right.
And kudos to you, Deborah, for making all those points. Aim for a smoother flow next time and clarity.
As we said earlier, an abridged version of the news comes to you now. Lagos, thank you so much. We'll be here again, same time, same station. Until then, bye for now.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.